Joining us now is Mike Weiss. He's an epidemiologist with the Hillsborough County Health Department. Mike, thank you so much, obviously, for being here. And, you know, it's a good question. You know, how scared should folks be here in the Bay Area?
Well, thanks for having me. And it's really great to start talking about some of these really serious illnesses. So, I mean, they are serious illnesses, and that's why we're just trying to do everything we can to get the message out and do everything we can to protect people. And really the bottom line here is we're going to talk a lot about vaccines.
Yeah, and people are panicked. Like, we just had a story earlier this morning about fifth disease going around. It has the rash, the fever. People were freaking out thinking maybe that was measles. But what are the symptoms? How can you tell?
Yeah, so measles is going to be a pretty serious illness. You're going to start with the 3 C's, they call them, the cough, conjunctivitis, and coryza, which is red eyes, runny nose, and a cough. It's a respiratory illness. And then that's going to give you a pretty high fever afterwards, and then you'll develop this distinctive rash that starts at the head and moves down the body. And
we were talking, a majority of the folks that are getting the measles are not vaccinated, correct?
Yeah, so people that are fully vaccinated have the 2 doses of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, which is the MMR, are really at very, very low risk for getting sick themselves. It's a very good vaccine at protecting you from getting sick.
How can people be sure then that they have it, they don't have it?
Well, it's great that people start asking that question if they're fully protected, so they can ask their doctors, they can see if those immunization records are on file, and they can start a conversation. They can say, you know, based on the year that they were born and the vaccine they may have been given, the doctor may decide to give you a blood test that can check to see if you have that immunization, that protection in your system. And you can also just get another dose of the MMR vaccine. It's completely safe to get again, even if you may have had it in the past.
You know, I bet a lot of parents like myself are sitting back thinking, well, whew, my kids have been vaccinated, I'm good to go, but you might need to worry about yourself because depending upon when you got the vaccine, it may not have been effective.
Yeah, there are some stretches in the course of using that vaccine in history that we do recommend that people do get revaccinated. There's other scenarios where we recommend people get an extra dose. If they're going into certain high-risk situations or traveling internationally, we would recommend you make sure you're up to date on that vaccine.
And we have to cover hepatitis A. We are seeing this all across the Bay Area at restaurants. Is it safe to eat out?
So hepatitis A spreads in a very specific way. It's that fecal-oral route, for lack of a better route. It's, yeah, when you accidentally eat poop, basically. And so good hand hygiene, good washing of your hands, and making sure that you're just taking, you know, those precautions will really prevent you from getting sick with hepatitis A.
So with all the restaurants, because a lot of people are starting to become scared to eat out because you're hearing one after the next after the next. Does that mean people are not washing their hands properly and then handling food?
Yeah, so when you hear a restaurant announced through the Department of Health, it's because we did find conditions that there may have been a worker that contaminated food at that restaurant. And so that's situations where we will alert the community to those risks, and that's something we're going to do if we find those conditions. But if it's a restaurant that we haven't chosen to announce, it's completely safe to eat there, and even the restaurants we've had to announce are ones that once you take those proper precautions and get your vaccine as we've recommended, completely safe to return there.
Any way for patrons to protect themselves eating out?
It's the same thing you would do whenever you go out to eat. It's, you know, wash your hands before you pick up that sandwich.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was very informative. Yes.